Hey, welcome to The Explainer. Got a big exam on lipids coming up? Well, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to break down this whole complex topic into clear, easy-to-remember points so you can walk into that test feeling totally confident.
Okay, let's be real. Good fats, bad fats, high fat, low fat, it's a mess out there, right? But for your exam, you can't get bogged down in the headlines. You need the science. So let's just cut through all that noise and focus on the hard facts about lipids, the ones you'll actually be tested on. So here's our game plan for today. We've got 5 key sections lined up to get you prepped. We'll start with the absolute foundations, then get into triglycerides, decode all those dietary fats, unpack the real story of cholesterol, and finally connect it all to your health. Let's get into it.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the essential foundations. We're starting with the absolute basics here, because if you get this stuff down, I promise everything else is going to make so much more sense.
Okay, if there is one single word you need to burn into your brain for this test, it's hydrophobic. Lipids and water, they just don't mix. Think oil and vinegar. This one property is the key that unlocks pretty much everything else about how they work in our bodies.
You know, it's easy to think lipids are just about storing energy, but wow, they do so much more. Just look at this list. We're talking about the very structure of your cells, how your nerves fire, absorbing crucial vitamins. They even protect your organs and are the main fuel source for your heart. That's a pretty incredible resume, right?
All right, first member of the family to meet, triglycerides. This is what most of us just call fat. It's the fat you see in your food, and it's basically your body's long-term energy savings account. Got extra calories from carbs or protein? Bam! They get converted and stored as triglycerides for a rainy day. Next up, phospholipids. I like to think of these as the unsung heroes of, well, all of biology. They form the outer barrier of every single cell in your body. They're the bouncers at the club, deciding who gets in and who stays out. Seriously, without them, life as we know it just wouldn't exist. In rounding out our lipid family, we have sterols. Now, for your exam, pay close attention to their shape. See that multi-ring structure? It's totally different from the other lipids. And the most famous sterol of all? You guessed it, cholesterol. And don't worry, we've got a whole section on that one coming right up.
Okay, on to Section 2. We're going to zoom in on triglycerides, that main energy storage molecule we just talked about. Their structure is a classic exam question, so let's make sure you've got it down cold.
Definitely remember this for the test because honestly, the name gives you a massive clue. Tri, that's 3. Glyceride, that's for the glycerol backbone. So a triglyceride is simply one glycerol molecule holding on to 3 fatty acid chains. Simple, right? It's just a super efficient way to cram a ton of energy into a tiny package. All right, Section 3. This is the stuff everyone's always talking about, right? Decoding dietary fats. We're going to get into the good, the bad, and yeah, the complicated. From saturated and unsaturated fats to those infamous trans fats. So what's the actual difference between these fats? It all boils down to their chemical structure. Saturated fats have these nice straight chains, no double bonds. That means they can stack together really tightly, which is why they're solid at room temp, think butter. But unsaturated fats, they've got at least one double bond, which creates a kink in the chain. These kinks keep them from packing together, and that's why they're liquid, like olive oil. And now, let's talk about the villain of our story, trans fats. These things are mostly man-made. Manufacturers take a perfectly fine liquid fat and, through a process called hydrogenation, they make it solid. But in doing so, they totally alter its chemical structure in a way that's really, really not good for us. Okay, so here's the nitty-gritty detail that's probably going to be on your test. It's all about where the hydrogen atoms are. In natural, or cis fats, the hydrogens are on the same side of that double bond, creating that kink we talked about. But in trans fats, they're on opposite sides. This straightens out the molecule, making it behave like a saturated fat, which is exactly why it causes so many problems. Last tip in this section, let's touch on essential fatty acids. Essential is a key word here. It means our bodies can't make them, so we have to get them from our food. The 2 big ones are omega-3 and omega-6. Now, we need both, but here's the catch. Most of us get way too much omega-6 and not nearly enough anti-inflammatory omega-3. Getting that balance right by eating things like fish and walnuts is a huge deal for your health. All right, Section 4. It's time to talk about cholesterol. It gets such a bad rap, but the truth is, you literally can't live without it. So let's look at the 2 sides of this very complicated story. Here's the most important thing to get. Your own liver is a cholesterol-making machine.
And it does that because cholesterol is absolutely vital. It's in your cell membranes, it's the starting point for vitamin D, it builds hormones. The problem isn't cholesterol itself. The problem is when you have way too much of it floating around in your blood.
So, since fats and blood are like oil and water, how does cholesterol get around? It needs a ride. This is where lipoproteins come in. Now, for your test, here's the easiest way ever to remember the two big ones. You've got LDL, low-density lipoprotein. Think of it as the delivery truck. It drops off cholesterol to the cells. Too many trucks, you get a traffic jam. Then there's HDL, high-density lipoprotein. That's your garbage truck. It cleans up the extra cholesterol. So just remember, LDL is lousy and HDL is helpful.
Okay, we're in the home stretch. Section 5. This is where we connect all that science to you, to real life. We're going to look at what happens when lipids go wrong and even how they control when you feel hungry or full.
This right here is a process you absolutely need to know for your exam: atherosclerosis. It all starts with too much of that lousy LDL cholesterol. It seeps into your artery walls, gets damaged, and your body freaks out, causing inflammation. This whole mess creates something called plaque, which hardens and narrows your arteries, and that's not good.
So how do we try to prevent that? Well, the science is pretty clear. The game plan is to focus on a diet that's packed with whole plant-based foods. That means eating more healthy fats from things like fish and nuts, and really prioritizing fats that come from plants over fats from animals.
And get this is so cool. Lipids actually play a direct role in telling you when you're hungry or full. Sure, you've got ghrelin from your stomach screaming, "I'm hungry," but then you have a hormone called leptin, which is released by your actual fat cells. It travels all the way to your brain to say, "Hey, we're good, you can stop eating now." It's this incredible feedback loop between your energy stores and your appetite.
And this brings us to a really crucial takeaway. Fat itself isn't the enemy, okay? It's an essential nutrient. The real trouble starts with eating way too many calories, huge portions, and, most importantly, the wrong kinds of fats. It's the whole picture, the context of your entire diet that really matters.
And there you go. That's the science of lipids, from the tiny molecules all the way up to your overall health. You've got the knowledge now. You're ready to walk in and ace that test. The only question left is, what are you gonna do with it? Good luck!